When we think of gods, we often imagine beings of incredible power, mortal, untouchable, and ruling over their domains with supreme authority. But what happens when gods from different cultures go head to head in a battle of strength, wit, and divine abilities? Today, we embark on an epic journey where we pit the mighty gods of Africa, Greece, and Norse against each other in a mythological face-off to determine which pantheon held the most power. In African mythology, gods like Shango, Ogun, and Anansi are central to the spiritual and cultural fabric of the people. These deities embody strength, wisdom, warfare, and the very forces of nature. From the powerful thunder god Shango, who commands the storms, to Ogun, the god of iron and war, and Anansi, the trickster spider god who manipulates fate with his cunning, the African gods have always been revered for their divine influence and their close ties to the earth and the ancestors. On the other hand, Greek mythology gives us gods like Thor, Ares, and Loki, who have become symbols of ancient warfare, strength, and chaos. From the thunder-wielding Thor, the warrior god Ares, and the trickster Loki, who thrives in creating conflict and mischief, the Greek gods are known for their powerful personalities and their incredible feats of might. These gods controlled nature, fate, and the very essence of the human condition of war and everything in between. And then we have the Norse gods, often associated with the cold, hard truths of existence. Gods like Odin, the all-knowing father, Thor, the hammer-wielding protector, and Loki, the deceptive trickster, rule over a realm where battle and strength are seen as essential to survival. Their myths speak to the harsh realities of life, where power and intellect go hand in hand, and where honor and sacrifice are the ultimate markers of a god's worth. In this mythological battle, we'll focus on the greatest matchups: Shango versus Thor, the mighty thunder gods; Anansi versus Loki, the trickster gods; and Ogun versus Ares, the war gods. But that's not all. We'll dive into the other animal gods of Africa, Greece, and Norse mythology, examining their roles, powers, and influence on their followers. Who would come out on top in a battle for supremacy? Can the African gods, with their deep connection to nature and the ancestors, defeat the Greek gods, who reign supreme in their Olympian fortress? Or will the Norse gods, with their ruthless battle spirit, claim victory as the strongest pantheon? Stay tuned as we journey into the heart of mythology to discover which gods truly hold the most power. When it comes to power, few gods embody the force of nature quite like Shango, the thunder god of the Yoruba people in West Africa, and Thor, the mighty thunder god of Norse mythology. Both wield the incredible power of lightning, storms, and divine wrath, making them natural adversaries in a battle for supremacy. But who would win in a face-off between these two forces of nature? Let's break it down. Shango, god of thunder and fire. Shango is one of the most powerful and revered deities in African mythology, particularly among the Yoruba people. As the god of thunder, lightning, and fire, Shango is a figure of immense power, commanding both the forces of nature and the elements themselves. His weapon of choice is the double-headed axe called the oro, which is said to give him control over lightning strikes and thunderclaps. Shango is not only a god of destruction, but also of justice, leadership, and virility. His immense strength is a symbol of the Yoruba kingdom's power and his association with kingship. The Yoruba believe that Shango's control over the storm symbolizes divine rule, is a protector of the righteous, and a destroyer of those who do wrong. His thunderous presence is seen as a direct intervention from the gods, marking him as a deity whose power directly impacts the world. In addition to his thunderous power, Shango is also a symbol of male strength, often depicted as a fierce and fearless warrior. His divine fury is unleashed in both war and peace, and his reputation as a protector of the people makes him a beloved figure in African spirituality. Festivals held in Shango's honor are filled with rituals, drums, and dances that evoke the god's power and strength. Thor, the Norse god of thunder and protector of Midgard. Thor, the god of thunder in Norse mythology, is arguably one of the most recognizable gods in the world, thanks to his presence in modern pop culture through movies like Marvel's Thor. But long before Hollywood brought Thor to life, this mighty god of war and protection was a central figure in ancient Scandinavian belief systems. Thor's most famous weapon is his magical hammer, Mjolnir, which is said to be able to summon lightning and strike down even the most formidable enemies. Thor's Mjolnir is a symbol of divine strength, capable of shaping the weather, causing massive storms, and even protecting Asgard from the giants who threaten the gods. His role as protector of Midgard, the realm of humans, makes him a key figure in Norse myth, and his ability to command the thunder and lightning makes him a god of immense force. Thor's strength isn't just in his weapons, though he is a god of bravery and war, known for his physical prowess in battle. He fights to protect the gods and humans alike, and his role as a defender of both realms makes him a symbol of protection, not only through the power of his hammer, but also through his sheer endurance and stamina. In Norse myth, Thor's battles with giants and his defense of Asgard symbolize the eternal fight between good and evil, order and chaos. Comparing their power, who's the true master of thunder? Both Shango and Thor wield the power of thunder and lightning, but their approaches to battle and their roles in their respective mythologies differ. Let's break down their key abilities. Weaponry and strength. Shango's double-headed axe symbolizes the balance of creation and destruction and is used to command the very thunder that storms the earth. In contrast, Thor's Mjolnir is a magical hammer capable of not just summoning lightning, but also shaping reality with its immense power. Thor's hammer is a more versatile weapon, able to strike with precision, cause earthquakes, and even resurrect the dead in some myths. Role in their cultures. Shango is not just a god of thunder, he is a kingmaker, a protector of the righteous, and a symbol of justice and leadership in the Yoruba community. His power is tied to divine rule, ensuring that those who govern do so with wisdom and strength. Thor, on the other hand, is a defender. His role is to protect both gods and humans from the chaos of the giants. Thor is more of a warrior protector, fighting for survival rather than ruling. Personality and divinity. Shango is often portrayed as a god with a fiery temper, whose wrath can strike down any who oppose him. His thunder is not just destructive, but is a reflection of his sovereign will. Thor, however, while fierce in battle, has a more grounded and protective nature. He doesn't seek destruction, but acts as a barrier against chaos, making him a more stoic figure in Norse mythology. The verdict: who wins the thunder battle? In a battle of raw power, it's a difficult decision. Shango has the edge in terms of control over storms and spiritual influence in his domain. His power is deeply connected to his role as a divine ruler, with the ability to shape the destiny of his people through his storms. However, Thor's Mjolnir grants him unparalleled destructive power, allowing him to strike with precision and command the skies at will. If it's a straight-up battle for dominance, Thor's Mjolnir might give him the upper hand, especially in terms of versatility. But if it's a contest of spiritual dominance and influence, Shango's role as a ruler of gods gives him a significant edge in leadership and divine strength. In the end, this match might come down to context and a battle for survival. Thor's combat experience could give him the win, but in a spiritual contest, Shango's command over storms and royal authority might place him as the true victor. When it comes to trickery, wit, and cunning, Anansi and Loki stand out as two of the most legendary trickster figures in the world's mythologies. Both gods are famous for their mischievous ways, using intelligence, deception, and manipulation to achieve their goals. But who truly reigns supreme in the art of trickery? Let's break down the cunning of these two legendary tricksters. Anansi, the spider god of wisdom and trickery. Anansi, the spider god from West African folklore, particularly among the Akan people of Ghana, is a cultural icon whose stories have crossed continents and influenced global storytelling. Anansi is not just a trickster, he is a teacher of wisdom, a god who uses his intellect and cunning to outsmart gods, humans, and creatures alike. Anansi's power lies not in physical strength, but in his cleverness and manipulation of situations. He is known for tricking gods into giving him what he wants, whether it's freedom, treasures, or simply a better position in the world. Through his intelligence, Anansi teaches people the value of wit over brute force. His stories often have moral lessons that emphasize the power of resourcefulness over strength. In African traditions, Anansi represents the clever outsider who uses his smarts to overcome much stronger opponents. His spider webs are symbolic of his ability to weave his fate and manipulate the threads of destiny to suit his desires. Anansi's adventures often revolve around him, tricking other gods or humans, making him both a cultural hero and a moral figure. His influence extends far beyond Africa, with Anansi's tales making their way to the Caribbean and Americas through the African diaspora, where he is still celebrated as a symbol of resistance and survival. Loki, the mischief maker of Norse mythology. Loki, the Norse god of mischief and chaos, is often depicted as the ultimate trickster, someone who thrives on creating disruption, deception, and confusion. Unlike Anansi, whose tricks often have a moral outcome, Loki's antics are driven by a desire for personal gain and to create chaos among the gods. Loki is a shapeshifter and is capable of transforming into various creatures, animals, gods, and even inanimate objects. His shapeshifting abilities give him a unique advantage in his tricks, allowing him to deceive and manipulate both gods and humans without being detected. Loki's ability to change form makes him slippery and unpredictable, a master of escaping any situation he creates. Loki's most famous act of trickery is his involvement in the death of Balder, the beloved son of Odin. Loki's jealousy and cunning nature lead him to orchestrate Balder's murder, which sets off a chain of events that ultimately leads to Ragnarok, the end of the world, in Norse mythology. Loki's role in the destruction of the gods shows his darker side as a manipulator of chaos and destruction, unlike Anansi's more light-hearted schemes. Despite Loki's chaotic and often malicious nature, he is still considered one of the Aesir gods, though he is often loathed by his fellow gods. Loki's influence, while destructive, is undeniably represents the chaos and unpredictability that exists in the natural world, showing that the gods are not immune to disruption or trouble. Face off, the trickster god's power and influence. So how do these two trickster gods compare? Anansi is primarily a god of wisdom and survival. His tricks are meant to teach, to outsmart the more powerful, and to show that intelligence can triumph over strength. He is a cultural hero whose actions often result in greater good and moral lessons. Anansi's cunning, while playful, serves a deeper purpose: to bring about justice, order, and balance through wit. Loki, on the other hand, embodies the essence of chaos. His tricks often have no higher moral purpose, and while his cunning is formidable, it is driven more by self-interest and destructive impulses. Loki's actions frequently lead to ruin not only for himself, but for the gods around him, leading to Ragnarok, the end of the world. His ability to cause havoc and chaos makes him a far more dangerous figure than Anansi, as his tricks often disrupt the fabric of reality itself. The verdict: who is the superior trickster? In terms of power, Loki has the edge in destruction and chaos. His ability to cause global-scale harm, manipulate the gods, and eventually bring about the end of the world speaks to his immense power as a trickster. However, Anansi's strength lies in his ability to use his cunning for survival, wisdom, and the greater good. His intelligence and influence on the African diaspora make him an enduring symbol of resilience and adaptability. If it's a matter of raw destructive power, Loki may take the lead due to his ability to influence the entire cosmos. But in terms of cultural significance and the ability to outsmart the gods and change the course of history, Anansi's tricks carry more weight in shaping morality and wisdom. When it comes to warfare, strength, and the brutality of combat, there are few gods as synonymous with battle as Ogun, the African god of iron and war, and Ares, the Greek god of war and bloodshed. Both are revered in their respective cultures for their power and strength in battle, but their roles and characteristics within their mythologies provide fascinating contrasts. In this segment, we'll dive into how Ogun and Ares compare in terms of their warrior spirit, battle strategies, and divine roles. Ogun, god of war, iron, and technology. Ogun is a revered deity in Yoruba mythology and many West African cultures, particularly as the god of war, iron, and technology. Ogun is the divine blacksmith, known for creating weapons and tools that enable war and survival. He is often depicted as a fierce warrior, a symbol of strength, courage, and endurance in battle. Ogun's role goes beyond mere combat. He is also the god of craftsmanship, creativity, and innovation. In Yoruba culture, Ogun is the god who forged tools that allowed humanity to work with iron and build civilizations. His power isn't just in his ability to fight, it's in his capacity to shape the world through technology and construction, using tools as extensions of his will. In the warrior context, Ogun's power is tied to his control over iron, the material of weapons and tools. As a warrior, Ogun is not just a symbol of raw combat strength, but a strategist who uses craftsmanship and intelligence to overcome his enemies. Ogun's axe, a key symbol of his power, is often used in battles to clear paths, protect people, and defend land. Ogun is also a protector of communities and leaders, offering divine strength to warriors in times of conflict. He embodies the idea that true strength comes from the ability to construct, create, and defend the sacred bond between humans, the earth, and the divine. His warrior nature, however, is discipline, and his combat power is as much about strategy and wisdom as it is about strength. Ares, god of war, bloodshed, and violence. Ares, the Greek god of war, is a more ferocious and bloodthirsty figure in comparison to Ogun. As a son of Zeus and Hera, Ares represents the darker side of war, violence, chaos, and the destructive aspects of conflict. He is not concerned with strategy or honor. Instead, Ares thrives on combat, bloodshed, and brutality. His presence on the battlefield often leads to death and destruction, and he embodies the chaos that comes with war. While Ogun uses craftsmanship and tools as an extension of his divine power, Ares is often portrayed as a force of nature, driven by rage and the rush of battle. He has no interest in the political or moral aspects of war. His passion for violence is what defines him as the god who delights in destruction. Ares' primary role is to bring about physical confrontation, and he does so without regard for who wins or loses. His satisfaction comes from the carnage itself. Ares' connection to war is also tied to honor, but it is a brutal honor that celebrates destruction. He is the god that warriors look to when they wish to tap into the rage and adrenaline of battle, especially in times of conflict that call for violent conquest. However, despite his power, Ares is not always respected by the other gods of Mount Olympus. He's often seen as reckless and impulsive, lacking the strategic intellect of gods like Athena, who represents wisdom in warfare. Nevertheless, Ares' strength and involvement in war have made him a key figure in the pantheon of gods. Comparing the gods, strength, strategy, and divine influence. When comparing Ogun and Ares, their differences become striking. Strength. Ogun is a god of both combat and construction. His strength lies in his physical power combined with intellect. Ogun's weapons, especially his axe, are not just for battle, but are tools of creation and defense. In contrast, Ares' strength is purely combat-driven. He represents the brutality of war, reveling in physical strength and the destruction of his enemies. Role in war. Ogun's approach to war is strategic and purposeful, guided by a sense of duty and protection. He is the god of war who also shapes the tools of battle, allowing civilizations to build, defend, and create. On the other hand, Ares thrives on the chaos and violence of war. He is the embodiment of war's destructive side, fighting without concern for the consequences. His role is one of rage and conflict for the sake of destruction, often without a clear purpose beyond causing havoc. Spiritual influence. Ogun is a god whose influence extends beyond the battlefield. He represents resilience, creativity, and protection. His divine strength is tied to community and the earth. Ogun's connection to iron and the tools of labor makes him a symbol of both warrior spirit and human survival. Ares, however, represents the brutal and chaotic aspect of conflict. While his power is immense, it lacks the nobility and honor that comes with Ogun's strategic prowess. Ares is the god of warfare in its rawest, most violent form. The verdict: who wins in a battle of war gods? While both gods are undeniably powerful, Ogun's approach to war is more balanced. He is not just a warrior, he is a creator, defender, and guardian of order. His power transcends battle, extending to the realm of society and technology, where his influence enables human survival and growth. Ares, however, represents the dark side of war chaos, bloodshed, and violence. His strength is unparalleled in destruction, but his role is more limited to the violence of battle.